If you've got an athletic goal, it means that you need to train like an athlete. Hi, I'm Caleb. I'm a performance specialist here at Strive PT. Today we're going to talk about how to use plyometric training to improve your running performance. In a previous video, we talked about strength training and how that gets you strong beyond your body weight, and that'll make you more efficient and improve your endurance on the back end in your running. Now, plyometrics is a way to become more explosive and use the strength and the muscle that you already have to become more efficient. Plyometrics are, simply put, any jump or quick speed movements. Now, the reason this is important to include is our body has this stretch reflex, and when we train our body at higher speeds, our muscles actually become more efficient and they fire more of our muscle fibers simultaneously, resulting in a better explosive, or not a better, but a more explosive response. Aside from that, it does actually train the elasticity of our muscles and our tendons. So when you stretch or pre-stretch a muscle with a quick lengthening, like what happens when you drop down into a jump, and then you stretch and return to a quick shortening, there's stored elastic energy there. And the better we can train our body to store and release that energy, the more powerful we become. The easiest way to visualize this for yourself, if you just take your hand, put it on your chest, lift one of your fingers and try and slap it down on your chest as hard as you can. Not very powerful, right? No matter how hard you try. Then take that finger, stretch it back, and snap it in. And you feel how much more powerful that is. Much like this, your body has that stretch reflex in all of our muscles. So plyometrics are going to teach your body and train that quality to become more effective. Now, there's a difference between using plyometrics for conditioning and really getting a good muscle burn and using plyometrics for power. It's pretty common nowadays in HIIT training to see jump squats, jump lunges, and all that used for conditioning. You can use those same movements, but you have to approach it differently if you want to get the gains of power. So I'm going to teach you how to do just that and the different levels that you can progress to. This video is going to be more on general plyometric training, and it's important to start generally so you get the form down and you really become great at the basics, and then you can progress to more advanced, more specific plyometrics as you get better. So first things first, we're going to start with what's called a drop squat from 2 legs to 2 legs. And the drop squat's a great prep movement, and I have all of my clients do it as a way to prepare them for a plyometric session or a plyometric movement ahead of them. It really locks in your landing position and your ability to absorb impact. So it's kind of like slamming a medicine ball. You're up on your toes, arms are up, and you're gonna quickly snap down, get the hips back, get the arms back, like you're pulling 2 rip cords, and pause. When you pause, you're checking your position. Are my feet even? Are my knees in a strong position? Do I have a good athletic position where my hips are back and I'm ready to move in different directions? If yes, great. Let's keep locking in that position and getting faster and faster with it. If not, things you want to avoid are knees falling in, because that's going to put more stress on the knee joint, which we don't want. We want to keep those knees in a strong position so we're using our muscles in the most efficient manner and not lose energy as we're jumping. So that's 2 to 2. Then you can go 2 feet to 1 foot, stabilize. This is going to be great for preparing your body for any hop or bound from one leg to another, or single leg hops, just getting our body ready for that training session. All right, now getting into the actual plyometrics, I'm going to show you 3 different movements at 4 different levels that you can progress to. The first level is called non-counter movements. So non-counter movement to stabilize. It's all in the bottom position. We're not putting a pre-stretch on our muscles. We're starting in the bottom position and producing power from that dead stop. When you land, you're focusing on landing just like you did in that drop squat. So the first movement's a jump squat. You're gonna sit back in the hips, make sure you're in that good, strong position. From that dead start, power, and then get back to that landing position, reset. So say you're doing 3 sets of 8 reps. Each rep is an individual piece. Power, get back, reset. And the goal is to be as explosive as possible. You're trying to jump through the ceiling. That's the first one. Second one is a linear bound. So a bound is from 1 foot to the opposite foot. We're gonna do, again, non-counter movement, sitting back into the hips a little bit, producing that dead stop force, bounding, pausing, getting back in the hips. And you're taking that back in fourth. I don't have much space before I run out of the frame, but you get the idea. Dead stop, no counter movement. You'll find those reps where you lose stability like I just did. That's okay. Tap the toe down, sit back in the hips, and that's what you practice. That's the purpose of doing these slow, is so you get your stability. You're learning to stabilize your hips, your knees, your ankles. That way when we speed it up, it becomes reactive. We have reactive stability. Third one is a lateral bound. Same idea. You're sitting back in the hip, starting low, come up, land, sit back in the hip. Explode, land, sit back in the hip. Lateral becomes a little bit harder to stabilize because our body is moving in a different plane of motion. Forward and back is the easiest, side to side is a little bit harder, and then rotating is harder still. That's another topic for a different video, but that's your level 1, non-counter movement to stabilize. Okay, level 2, counter movement to stabilize. Now we're taking advantage of that stretch reflex we talked about earlier. Same movement, jump squat, instead of starting at the bottom, now we're gonna throw down and jump quick. The goal is to be as quick on that turnaround from the lowering to the jump as you can. Be quick. And every rep is its own, so you'll notice I go back to that stability position, arms back, hips back, chest is up a little bit. Second, we're going linear bound. Same idea as before, just we're adding that stretch and that bound, stretch, bound, and stabilize after each one. You can already guess what the last one is, that lateral bound with a stretch and a stabilize. Come back up, stretch, and stabilize. That's your level 2. Okay, level 3 is called a double contact. So we're shortening the amount of time that we spend on the ground from a landing to a jump. So you're gonna take that drop squat technique that we practiced earlier. That's the start of your jump squat. Snap down, come back up quick, and stabilize. The reason that's more advanced is because you are having to absorb so much more force as those feet come off the ground. Stop here, control eccentrically, and turn that force around into an explosive jump. So that force applied to our stretch reflex is higher. Second one is a linear bound, going from that drop squat from 2 feet to 1. As soon as you land, take off into that bound and then stabilize. Okay, you get the idea. Third one, lateral bound, same idea. 2 feet to 1 foot, land, stabilize. The last one is continuous. So it's the same exact movements. Now we're just trying to be as quick off the floor as possible, doing our entire set with no pause, no stabilization in between. So here's what it looks like. Jump squats. Always ending that last rep on a stability position, so that way you get it in your head and keep it in your head. Linear bound is the same idea, being as quick off the floor as you can. And last but not least, your lateral bound. And there you have it, 3 different plyometrics at 4 different levels. Now remember, this all starts with building strength. It's important that you have strong positions in a slower strength exercise. You build the resiliency of your joints, and then you start slow with plyometrics, focusing on the stability and the control first, because that stability is our anchor for the power that we're gonna develop. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more specific running plyometrics in the future, also let us know in the comments, and we will definitely make that video in the future.